Greetings, dear viewers. Welcome. Today I have a poem about none other than the great Garry Kasparov. The poem is called as Kasparov and a Minor Hurdle. The reason for choosing this poem is simple. Whenever we are talking about the greats of any profession, there are obviously going to be a lot of hurdles that they have to eventually pass through to become what they are in their respective fields. And whenever we are talking about chess, it is going to be a crime to miss out on the name of Garry Kasparov. This is a poem about one such minor hurdle that Garry Kasparov had to face when he was quite young and how he overcame that later to become one of the greatest players of all time. Garry Kasparov had won the 1981 USSR Championships, and it was a shared first place. But in terms of achievement, the magnitude of the achievement, it was quite large. And it was quite clear that even though Kasparov was not even 20 years old at that time, it was quite clear that this teenager had the potential to one day become the world champion. And of course, whenever you are having such talents that are going to eventually rise up, there are going to be some people who are going to support such talents. And of course, there are also going to be some officials who are not very happy with the progress of some prodigies. This is a poem to give you an insight about how Kasparov faced one such hurdle from an official of the sports committee, and this is actually given in Kasparov's book, which Kasparov writes, and this is going to be a great lesson for all of us to understand how hurdles are quite common in whatever pursuit that we are undergoing. The scene is this: Kasparov had won the 1981 USSR Championship, and in 1982, Kasparov had some tournaments lined up, and he had a lot of invitations from different tournaments, so London, Turin, Bugogno, etc. But Kasparov had chosen to play the Yugoslavia tournament because he felt that it was quite a strong tournament and it would be a great test for him, especially considering that he had just won the USSR Championship. And of course, he had a great rating to back it up. And then he thought that, okay, I am going to play that, and he needs to get the permission from the sports committee, and he thought that it was just a formality. Obviously, I have the rating and I was the USSR champion, and he thought it's going to be quite easy. But Nikolai Krogius, who had to give him the permission to go and play in Yugoslavia, says no, and he asks him to play another tournament in Dortmund, which was not to the class of Garry Kasparov. And Kasparov is actually a little shocked as to why this was declined, and he politely asks him as to why is it that I'm declined to play. Nikolai Krogius comes up with an answer that is more or less a testimonial to how great Kasparov was even as a teenager, even as an 18-year-old. He says that we already have a world champion and we don't need another one. At that time, Anatoly Karpov was already the world champion, and some of them felt that Kasparov would dethrone him quite soon, and it happened, of course, just 3 years later. So this is the background of the poem. Now that you know the details of the poem, it will be quite easy to follow. Let us get into the poem then. The year 1982 was important for the great Kasparov. Even though he had scope to grow, he was already a high-quality player who knew how to stay ahead and clear. The three tournaments lineups were ready in London, Turin and Bugogno. Yugoslavia was chosen as his desired event where the chess world was ready for his advent. Kasparov needed permission from concerned sports committee. Fully aware of his quality, he assumed it would be hassle-free, but it was a bark on the wrong tree. Nikolai Krogius, the head of sports committee, had different ideas. He had planned to send Kasparov to a different place, which was below the standard of the great champion, which ignited in him some pain. Kasparov asked him about this and waited. He could hardly believe what he stated. We already have a world champion. We do not need another one. The reply was a testimonial to Kasparov's class and the talent he was. I hope you like the poem, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for your time.